The Eels and the Knights come away victors in our Sunday afternoon games. And today, guys, we're going to be going through my takes out of those two games and then 5 things I've learnt from round 3 there, and then my fantasy tip for the week here heading into round 4. And it is changing each of those weeks with a little bit of carryover from the week before. But firstly, guys, the speed of this game was very noticeable. Yes, there were a lot of errors. There were a lot of penalties in this one. The ball in play was about 47 minutes out of the 80. So you'll see there when we speak about fantasy scoring and the Supercoach scoring tomorrow that it was pretty down, let's be honest, in this game. But there was a lot of quality football being played. It was a very close one at that. There's a little bit of controversy, especially at the end, obviously, with the sin bin, but also, the refereeing decisions along the way. And that's always going to happen in these tight games. But you do have to give Eels the props for coming away the victors in this one. And that was led by Mitch Moses, their number 7. And that's where this is going to start and end with this team, is out of Mitch Moses. And to come out with a try, 3 try assists in this one and get the job done, keep this game close, obviously late, get over the top and hold on with Corey Waddell scoring near the end. And them having sort of 7 or 8 minutes there to try and come over the top with all the weapons that the Eagles have. It was a very impressive win by the Eels. And as we saw there, not everything went right, but it was absolutely incredible to see them actually score some tries on that left side that was, getting some points scored against them there. Leaking was the word I was looking for in that one. For them to have a really, really strong right side as well, which didn't actually come as much from Cartwright. It was using their middles, obviously Junior Barlow there, an incredible offload to that of Moses, and a lovely hole run from Kelma to Alungi there to kind of seal this game. It got them a couple of tries ahead. More than 10 points ahead at that point, which was great. And we're able to hold on for that win. What they do need to sort out is that left-hand side defense for them, where the Eagles found so much love and found it very easy to get down that right-hand side very early in this game. Obviously, a line break kick through to Tommy. Jackson Barlow there scoring a try, and then Ruben Garrick in just before halftime scoring a try down that right-hand side, which was obviously super, super easy, I found. Just a couple of quick play the balls, fang it out right, and they were away. And just the guns from Eagles couldn't get over the top on this one. We haven't seen the best of DCE at this stage of the season. Obviously, a couple of wins for the Eagles. Eels are coming into this 1-1. A very important win for Eels in this one, but I do see the Eagles being there in the business end. They do need to work out how they use DCE effectively in amongst Luke Brooks and also Tom Trebojevic in this one. Big congratulations to them. But we move to the Knights now. 14-12 victors over the Storm, and Tyron Wishart went over very, very easily at the end there to give them another chance to break the hearts of their opposition like they did with the Waz last week. But this was massive for the Knights there. And obviously Storm missing a couple of their key cogs, and you can see that it was a little bit disjointed for them in this one. So we will focus on the Knights, and this was a very, very important win for them. 14-12, obviously a close one, and that was what kind of stood out in this one, was the grit and determination from a lot of their players there. You saw Adam Elliott not have his best game after having an absolute belter last week. It looks like they found some real solidarity on their left edge with Kai Pearce-Paul. You had, their halves obviously get that win, and that's super important for this side. Is when you make some changes, so Hastings being out, Brayley coming back into this side, didn't play too many minutes, but with Cogger and Gamble at the helm, Ponga playing much better and being given a lot more opportunity, especially in that first half. They weren't able to score any points in the second, but it was that first half where they did the damage and got out to that 14-0 lead and really drive it home and make it very, very difficult for the Storm to come back with some really solid defense overall. A couple of line breaks were allowed, but well done to the Knights in this one. It takes a lot of the pressure off coach, off their spine, which is going to be really important for them to get away into the season and start playing some good football. So that's what I want to focus on for those two in those games there. And then we'll move on to the 5 things I've learnt from round 3, guys. And I just want to talk about the teams under the most duress at this point of the season. And it is obviously the Titans here. They're in a lot of curry at the moment, along with the Rabbitohs. They're both right down the bottom of the ladder. And yes, Titans we've only seen 2 games of. Bunnies we've seen 3, and both look very poor at the moment. So those two, their coaches of both of those teams, we spoke about them in those previous videos. So if you have seen them, big thank you to you guys for checking those out, and I'll appreciate you continuing to have a look at them. Obviously, the Sharks, after their loss to the Tigers, you could say they're under a little bit of duress as well. And, Storm, Eagles losing, not too big of an issue. Dragons, obviously, the amount of points that they're putting on and the effort in their defensive areas as well is the big worry for them. And then Broncos, we'd like to see them obviously bounce back well after, losing Walsh and up against the Panthers. It's a tough outing, but they'll want to bounce back as well. So not under so much duress, but obviously with the injuries they have, it's not a great position to be in at the moment. The best quality football that we saw this week, and you do have to say that the Tigers looked, some of the best out of most of the teams here. They look some of the best, but you can't go away from the Panthers at the beginning of the week, absolutely putting it to the Broncos. At that point, the Wilders and the Raiders were a fairly close one. Both teams were solid, sort of, top 8 style football. Roosters were definitely top 4 style football, the way that they were able to get through their sets early and fang it out to the edges. So those two teams there, Roosters and the Panthers, were the clear top guys, and a big shout out to the Tigers for their effort in that win over the Sharkies. The most important win of the week, in my opinion, was that of the Tigers, the 32-6 big win over the Sharks. They had the most being talked about them, obviously coach as well. Their spine, their ability to rebuild, all that. The Tigers were the biggest talking point out of this. To come over and beat a great side in the Sharks was the best part of it. Obviously, Dogs winning 32-0, but it was against the Titans, and that obviously helps them getting a win on the board. But I do think it helps the Tigers a little bit more, considering it was against a better opponent. If the Dogs can come and win next week, then I do think that a lot of the talk about their coach in Serraldo and their quality of players and what they've recruited and all that will start to dissipate as well. So those two teams there were the big winners of the week and the most important wins of the week for their seasons. A special shout out to that of the Knights for a very important win, given they were down 0-2, and to win against the Storm, no matter who was thrown out against them. That was massive for them. And then obviously the Warriors as well. So second tier important wins for the Wars and also the Knights there. This week, the teams who will struggle in the fantasy avoids. I wanted to keep this one in there because obviously, you guys follow me a lot for the fantasy and Supercoach. So the teams that will struggle, we obviously saw the Titans and really low scores from across the board from them. That's for sure. Sharkies can still have a lot of flair and you can get some attacking stats out of them. So they're not completely devoid of being an option. I do think the Rabbitohs are a team that we need to watch out for. And apart from obviously, the Trell had a bit of a tough one. Murray being a middle forward is not going to cause him too many issues. But the outside backs from the Bunnies are absolutely struggling at the moment. You're seeing what Johnston's able to come up with on a weekly basis at the moment. Isaiah Tass, Whiten played fairly well, but didn't score very well fantasy-wise. So Rabbitohs, the Titans at the moment. Sharkies okay, but we're seeing here that in on and off games at the Eels and the Eagles, you can kind of get some players to do well and the rest aren't so much. So there's a lot of side to side football. A lot of the middles aren't on a week to week basis aren't getting the consistent points that you would hope for as well. So they're kind of the main ones at the moment. Broncos are fine. Raiders, Warriors also fine. Just a couple of teams there that you'd want to be avoiding. And then really outside of Lomax for the Dragons, potentially like Eisenhuth at the moment, they're not in a great way either. Obviously, Flanagan this week did really well also. But overall, they're the teams you want to kind of avoid as much as you can at this point. And the last one, guys, the importance of the first 3 tackles in a set. And I just wanted to give you some examples on that. So you do see, obviously, in this game, let's just say in the Roosters game, I should say, was the biggest one I noticed with this is just getting some quick play the balls, getting on the front foot, and then fanging it out to your edges is going to be the biggest one here. Obviously, sending it right to Manu, to Dom Young, and you do see that with the best teams, and that happened very regularly with that at the Panthers as well. Get a couple of good early quick play the balls, get some speed in the ruck, to then get it out to their right-hand side. It does seem to be that sort of left to right passing is the way to go at the moment. Get it out to those guys to do good work out there. Cowboys, another team that they like to do it a little bit more to the left-hand side and then score some tries to Kyle Felt if it's Drinkwater left to right is the way they play it. But they're getting a lot of speed through their backs, actually coming onto the ball at speed. As I'm saying there, that first few plays, you see Holmes, you see Talangi there getting through a tremendous amount of work and finding their front, getting a quick play of the ball, and they're off and away. They get back on their edges, and then they're the recipients of some good early ball as well. You see that when the Knights did that a little bit better today, they were able to get some early ball out to Bradman Best, out to Dane Gagai, and they were able to create some things out there, which was awesome. Very much similar to that with the Eels and the Eagles game. A couple of good plays there, especially in that first half from the Eagles, and then get that ball out to Garrick, Turbo at speed, and they can do good things. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's so important. Obviously, it all does start with your defense, but then it's that first couple of plays, no matter where you are on the park, to get that running hard onto the ball, get down, quick play the ball, and then the next guys are all charging. And you see that, and that builds that momentum. The defense is running back, they're tackling, and they're still running back while you're playing the ball. And it's just curtains from there. So absolutely dominant at that. And then to finish it off, guys, with our fantasy tip of the week. So last week we spoke about being careful with your trades. So at this point in the season, one misstep can sort of set you back a few weeks and you'll end up max trading for a while. And you do see that in this one. There was a few guys that did really well. There's a few guys we traded in, like Joey Lussick, that didn't do so well, but the way that the game was played definitely didn't dictate good scoring from him, unfortunately. But if you're getting into a certain position where you don't have a lot of cover for a position, or like this coming week, we've got 2 or 3 guys likely on the bye. If you have like Cary Grant, Pap, Chan, you potentially have Wong still sitting on your emergencies, or another guy that's not going to really score well, of Viliam Fafita or something like that. Potentially have someone that got a HIA this week in Tain Tuapiki. You're potentially looking at Cotter maybe missing a week. If Terrell May's not great, missing a week. It sounds like Cleary's fine, so that's good. But you may be sitting there with sort of 5, 6, 7 guys in that's not playing this week. And that was last week's one. And what we wanted to focus on this week is just thinking more than 1 week at a time. The example I just used, where you might have a multitude of guys out, it may be tough to field a really great 17 or even 17 at all this week. So I think you just need to remember that round 5 is just around the corner, and you don't want to go around trading guys that you think you're going to want past round 4 and 5, right? If you think that they're going to be in your team for a good while, they're scoring fairly well or okay, but look, they have some ability to go one better in the next few weeks and start to improve on that. We saw some bounce backs this week from a couple of plays in Karaz and the like. Even Harry Grant was a little bit better this week, and you might be tempted to sell Harry considering he hasn't gone over 60 yet. And I completely understand that. It's definitely something that has crossed my mind, but these are the times when you have to think back to these tips and your thoughts around what you're looking to build. Do you want Harry all the way up until the Origin period? Yeah, I think so. If you traded him out this week just for a better score in round 4, then I do think that would be a mistake. There are lots of other guys that you can trade around. There are people in the cheaper categories that are scoring well, and I do think you can make some money from some of these guys. Obviously, the growth, the introduction of Lockie Galvin, of Finafiaki, a few of these guys here are doing well at cheaper prices, and you can get away with those scores for a week, which is what you saw from a few guys this week. Leave a lot of bank available, 400, 500, 600K, so that they can go nuts and use that cash next week, and you even potentially get another cheapie. And if that's the way it plays over the week-to-week basis, just play what's in front of you. Get the guys that are going to be making money. Get the guys that are going to be scoring decent. It doesn't have to be the top of all tiers. We can see what 1 week of fantasy does, or Supercoach does for your ranks and for your points. And sometimes it can be great. Other times it can not be. And sometimes maybe sacrificing 1 week of it being incredible for multiple weeks following that, where you can make up all that ground and improve on that, is the best way to think about it. So as I said, just don't trade someone out just to get a good score in 1 week. Thanks so much for being here for this video, guys, and I can't wait for the entire week of content. Appreciate the weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the footy.